Hey, this is Nate. Welcome back for another video on this channel. Today I want to show you how to code a strategy, which is a previous candle breakout strategy. So I will demonstrate it quickly here in the strategy tester so you can see how it works. So yeah, the first trade here is a very untypical scenario, but we want to trade whenever the last candle closed above or below the previous candle. In this case, a green candle closed below the previous candle, which is not really typical, but we will also see how it works normally. And here we can see then this position is then open with a TP and a stop loss distance. We risk a set amount of money. And then we do also have a aggressive trading stop loss once the position goes into profit. So you can see here for this second buy position that was just open, there is now a trading stop loss securing the profits. And yeah, here it actually hit the take profit. Also the inputs that we will have a look at here, or that we will implement, is
this video is presented by BM Trading. Learn to code your own expert advisors. Link in the description.
We will have a time frame, so we can define on which time frame we want to trade. We have a set amount of money that we want to risk for every trade. So we will implement a function that calculates a variable lot size. Then we do have the stop loss distance, the TP distance, the TSL trigger points, and the actual TSL points. So very simple program. It's less than I think 90 lines of code. So if you want to follow along, you're more than welcome to learn a little bit about MT5 programming in this video. So let's now start with the programming part. So first thing we want to do is open the integrated development environment, which is IDE. You can also go to tools and click on MT5 language editor. Then in the upper left corner, click on new, select expert advisor, click on next, choose a name. I will just go with previous candle breakout, YT for YouTube. And then click on next, next, and finish. And this is a brand new expert advisor. Not this one, but this one that I just created. We have a bunch of these comments that we can delete and some properties that also do not have an impact on the actual program. So we can just rearrange and refactor the code a bit so it looks like this. I personally like to rearrange my curly brackets also because that's the style that I like to use for my coding. So what do we want to do? If we want to trade the breakout from the previous candle, then of course we have to make sure that we do get the value of the previous candle. So for example, if this current candle opens, then we want to check the last candle and the candle before. So we need a total of 2 candles. There are different ways to do this, and in the onTick function we will now implement one way. So one way that I did not show too often here on YouTube is probably using the MQL5 rate structure. It is a structure that holds a bunch of variables. So if I create a structure of type MQL rates, it will have all of these variables. All of these variables are first of all empty, but then I can use some built-in functions, for example this copy rates function, to fill the structure. So what I can do is I can call copy rates, can call it for any symbol I like. I will just choose the chart symbol of my expert advisor by providing underscore symbol, this system variable. Then I can use any time frame, and here I usually like to make this a input variable. So at the very top of your program you can call you can create an input variable which is of type enum time frames, and then you can give it a name. I usually like time frame as a name, and then here we can now use this time frame variable. So we have to define the chart with the symbol and the time frame, and then we need to find the starting position. As I said before, we want to go with the last candle, and then we have a count of 2 because we need the values for 2 candles. So the starting position is 1 and the count is 2, and then last but not least we have to provide an array of type MQL rates, and this will be our rates array that I just created here. So what this does is, if I now go ahead and, for example, or in a chart comment, if I say rates at index 0, I want to have the open, and rates at index 0 I want to have the close, and maybe also I want to have rates at index 1 open and rates at index 1 close. And this is something I always recommend to everyone. Like once you start working with a new function, for example, or you just want to figure out what your program does in general, just use just create a chart comment or use the print function to print out the information that your expert advisor is processing. So now if I use this comment function, for example, I can activate the program on any chart. I'll also make sure to compile before you do this. So I can find my program now here in the expert advisors. So here somewhere we have previous candle breakout. If I drag and drop it on any chart, you will see with the next tick in the upper left corner, we see a chart comment, and this should be the open and close price of the last 2 bars. So this is bar index 1, and this is bar index 0 in our rates array now. So we put 2 values in this rates array. So our rates array should have a length or size of 2, which means that we do have index 0 and index 1. So yeah, if we have a look here at the data window, we can have a look at the open and the close. And this should be at index 1, open and close. And it is, it is correct. And this should be at index 0 in this array with open and close also correct. If you want to turn this array around, you can say array set as series and set the flag to true. And then the values are turned around. So now this is index 0 and this should be index 1. So yeah, I think there was no tick before, but now there's a tick and you can see the values are now pretty much just turned around. Yeah, so that's how you can get the rates for all of the candles in the chart actually. And there are different ways to get the open, the high and the low, etc., etc., but I will now use this way here. So what we can do now, like the rest is very easy. Like since we have the values now, we can easily check if at the last bar, the close price, if it was above the high of the previous bar. And in this case, we want to open a buy position. Or if this is not the case, then we want to check if maybe the close bar of the last bar was below the low of the previous bar. And if this is true, then we want to open a sell. Also, we want to make sure that all of this only happens once per bar. And we can easily check if we are inside of a new bar right now by using a timestamp. A timestamp is just like any datetime variable in this case, which I named timestamp, but you could call this your dog Peter, for example. It doesn't really matter. And then we want to check if this timestamp variable, if it holds a different value than the time of the last bar. So time of the last bar, we can easily get this using our rates array at index 0. And we want to check if, or let me turn this around. Not that it makes a difference, but that's how I like to write it. So yeah, we check if these values are different, and if they are different, we want to update the timestamp variable and move everything here a little bit to the right and wrap it inside of this if statement. What this does is it checks if there's a new bar, and only once per bar we then calculate, or we then do check these if statement conditions and open buy or sell positions. So what we can do now is here at the top, we want to include the trade.mqh file. And now we then have access to our ctrade class, which we can use here now. So let's create a object. And then we want to call the buy function here. And let's say we want to open one lot. Buy position, and here we want to say we want to sell one lot, sell position. So now we can compile this and go back to our MetaTrader. So and then we want to open the strategy tester. So go to view strategy tester, open the strategy tester. You can also click Ctrl R on your keyboard, click on visualize, select the program that we just created. For me, it's previous candle breakout YouTube. Then choose any symbol, any time frame. Kind of makes sense to use the time frame that your program is currently running in. for the time frame input variable, and then just choose any period you want to test, but make sure that the visual mode is activated. If you then click on start, it will simulate the program on historical data, and here we should now see that at the beginning of a new bar we sometimes open a position, but only if the close happened above or below the previous candle high or low. So here was the case. We closed above the previous candle high and we open a buy position. So if we fast forward, you can see we get a bunch of positions, which is not really ideal, but we know that the program so far is working just fine. So what we want to do is we want to provide some TP, some SL, some trailing stop to make this a fully functional program. So first, what I also like to do is I like to create a input for the lots or the risk in this case. So let's say the risk in money should be 500 euro or US dollar, whatever your account currency is in. Then to define the risk, we also need a stop loss. So what we want to do here is we want to say SL points. It could be something like 50. We want to have TP points. It could be something like 50. We want to have, later on, we want to have a TSL trigger points, 20. Want to have TSL points, 10. So these are some of the inputs that we will now use, and maybe let me put the time frame at the top here. So let's start with calculating the entry, SL, and TP price, because we will need the entry and the SL for the calculation of the lots then. So first of all, when we want to open a buy market position, we usually use the ask price for this. So let me get the ask price, or let me call this entry price, and we just use symbol info double for the current chart symbol, and as the second parameter we can use symbol underscore ask. This will give us the current ask price for the symbol that we provide here, which is in this case the chart symbol. Then we want to calculate the stop loss, which will be entry minus SL points multiplied with the point value for this specific symbol. Point value here in this case, for example, for USD Japanese yen would be 0.001. If we have a symbol like Euro US dollar, it would be 0.00001. So it's always like the smallest price change of the last digit after the decimal point. Then we calculate the TP, and like this process is very, very simple, just basic math. So I don't think I have to explain a lot. So since we now created these three variables, we can provide them here for a buy function. So we want to open it for the current chart symbol, want to have the entry price, the SL, and the TP. And we could provide a comment for this order, but not really necessary. Then let me copy this, and let's exchange just some of these things, like the calculation of SL and TP, of course, are different for sale positions. Also, we want to open at the bid price. But the rest is pretty much the same. Like here, we also want to open for the current chart symbol. We want to provide the entry, SL, and TP, taken from these three variables here. So that's basically how we can add a SL and a TP. Now, the most important and interesting thing is, how do we calculate the lot size? And this is now very interesting, because let's create a function for this, which we can call calculate lots, and we do need the SL points for this. Which is a double points. So what we want to do is we want to provide the stop loss distance pretty much as a parameter for this function. So let's say if we have a distance of 100 points for the stop loss, the risk, of course, or the lot size is different than a stop loss distance of 200 points, because if we have a stop loss distance which is twice as big as the other distance, pretty much the lots can only be half as much, or we can only trade half as many lots. So we will need the SL points here, and then we will need some more information for its symbol. So first of all, we want to have the tick value, so we can use symbol info double, symbol trade tick value. This will give us the tick value. We also want to have the tick size, symbol info double, symbol trade tick size like this, and yeah, so the tick value will be the tick value for one lot. So if you trade one lot in any symbol pretty much, so in USD Japanese yen for example, and you then and the price changes by one tick, you would win or lose whatever this tick value is. Also the tick size defines the tick size. So usually for currencies it's just 0.001 or 0.00001, but it could be different if you trade future CFDs. For example, they sometimes tick like in 0.25 steps or in 0.5 steps. I mean, it depends on the symbol, but if you want to keep it flexible, you work with tick value and tick size. So what we want to do next is we want to check how many ticks we are actually pretty much processing here. So what we do is we take our SL points and divide it by the tick size, because this will give us the ticks pretty much. So we want to have the ticks that we risk here, and it is SL points divided by tick size pretty much, and we kind of want to make this a integer value, so we do not have any like rounding issues and stuff. So once we have the ticks calculated that we are planning to risk here, so to say, we also have to calculate the actual risk. So the actual risk will then be ticks multiplied with tick value. So that's the actual risk for one lot. So what we want to do now is we want to take our risk here from the inputs, like how much we actually want to risk, and divide it by the risk for one lot. So this will give us the actual lot size that we then want to trade. So risk money divided by risk. Like for example, if we want to risk like, let's say 500 euro, and the risk for one lot would be 100 euro, then this would return 5. If we want to risk 500 euro, and if the risk for one lot would be 1000, the result would be 0.5, because then we cannot really trade a whole lot size. So this might lead to rounding issues. So what we want to do is we kind of want to fix this and say lots is equal to lots. Let's get the lot step here, lot step, which is like the minimum lot increment that this symbol has, which is also a symbol info double parameter here, symbol volume step. And then to make sure that there are no rounding issues, we can just say lots divided by lot step. Like this, make this a integer so we don't have rounding issues, multiplied with lot step. This should make sure that there are no problems, and then we can return this lot size. So this is how you can write a very simple function that calculates the lot size for you, and I think you can use this in pretty much any program. So to fully understand what this does is, as I said before, it's always a good habit that if you write something that you do not write too often, or you just want to make sure that there are no issues and stuff, just use print statements. It's really so simple, because it makes you see, and it just visualizes what your program does. Like for example, like every calculation that you did, just print out the values. And you can also say, like for example, these are the ticks, this is the risk, like this, so you know what's going on. And then you can say tick value and tick size and lot step, and that's actually exactly how you should do it, because that's how you learn what your program does, and so that's why it is so important. And then lots, like we printed before the final calculation, and then lots after the final calculation. So now you can see with these print statements, I pretty much have all of the information that I could possibly need to understand the calculate lots function. Now we just have to use it. So here, for example, before we open a buy position, we want to calculate the lots using our calculate lots function, and then we say entry minus SL, because this will give us the distance or the SL points from the entry to the SL. And then same thing, just have to turn around the calculation, because here it's SL minus entry, because the SL for short positions or sell positions is higher than the entry. Yeah, then we can calculate the lots like this. And here we now can provide the lots that we just calculated as the first parameter for our buy and sell function. So after compiling this, we can run the program again in the strategy tester, and that's what you should do to figure out what the program is doing. So just run the same test again pretty much and wait for the first order. And then we should see all of this information here in the journal. Whoopsala. So you can see, like, whenever we open a position, we get the information like tick value is 1, tick size is 0.00001, lot step is 0.01. This is correct, I would say, for Euro/US dollar here. Then we have 49 ticks risk, which is... Does it make sense if we have a SL points of 50? Maybe this is a rounding issue. So to figure this out, we can also print the SL points here. So let me start the same test again. But now we also have the SL points in this print statement. Now let's wait for the first order here. And there it is. So we should see the information here again. So you can see, yeah, that's exactly like why we do all of these like rounding mechanisms to make sure that there's no rounding problem. Because here you can see the SL points are 0.0004999999, which is not really correct, so to say, but sometimes this happens if you work with double values in computers. So what we can do is I think we could round it like mathematically, and this should make sure that there's no issue. So I think normalized double should do the trick. Round it to the precision of digits. And if you then also include this in the print statement and compile, we can also see what this does. So if we do another test, yeah, this should look better now. Now we should see 50 points for the SL distance. So here we can see, yeah, like this is the normal double value, but if we use normalized double, we get the actual correct rounded value, and now we have 50 ticks for the risk pretty much. And then the risk for one lot is also 50. Yeah, this is a little bit too simple here because the tick value is 1 for Euro/US dollar. I think I should use USD Japanese yen for testing, so we see some actual values. And then, yeah, the calculation is also very simple because we have 10 lots. So what we want to do is maybe let's say we want to test USD Japanese yen instead. USD Japanese yen, so you can see that this actually works. So if I test USD Japanese yen instead, and if we fast forward until we see the first trade, which happens here, we can now have a look at the values again. And it says, yeah, now the tick value is 0.63 something. Tick size is 0.001. And yeah, so the calculation is a little bit different. And now you can see also here, like our rounding mechanism makes sense for the lots and everything. So yeah, and then we open 15.11 lots. So let's have a look at if the risk was correct. Oh, unfortunately, we hit the take profit here. So let's see what happens if we hit the stop loss. Yeah, you can see if we hit the stop loss, it's usually around 500. It can be a bit above or below because we have slippage, of course. But you can see it's kind of accurate. So that's how you can calculate the risk. So last thing we now have to do. And yeah, now, I mean, these print statements, they're cool for development and understanding your program. But if you don't need them anymore, you can simply of course, delete them. And yeah, that's our calculate lots function. And now we just have to use or add the trailing stop to make this a scalping program actually. So what we can do is, like, the easiest way is to just loop through all of your positions like this. And then we say, yeah, like if we find a position, we want to get the position information. The easiest way to get it is using the C position info class for this. So we say position, select by index, and then we select at index I. And once we selected a position, I mean, usually you check here, like if the magic number is correct and the symbol is correct, so it really matches your expert advisor. And yeah, but in this case, we will skip this step and just go ahead with the actual processing. So we say, let's say if TSL trigger points greater than 0. So we give the user the option to deactivate it by choosing 0 as an input. Then we want to check if position type is equal to position type by. And if it's not a by position, then we want to check if position type is equal to position type cell. And then we want to do the calculation for the trailing stop. So first of all, we want to see if the trigger is already reached. So here, we need the bid and ask price again. So let's just, let's just calculate it here once. Like bid is equal to symbol info double, symbol bid. And ask is symbol info double, symbol ask. And now we want to check for buy positions if the bid price is above position price open plus TSL trigger points multiplied with point. So if we reached our trigger, and if we reached it, we want to calculate the new stop loss, which will be the bid price minus the TSL points. Oh, points. Should be points multiplied with the point value. And let me correct this here quickly. Points, TSL points. And then we want to check if, I mean, it's usually a good habit to round these values. So let's round it to the precision of digits. And then we want to check if SL is greater than position stop loss, so the current stop loss. And if this is true, then we want to modify the position. So easiest way to modify a position is use the cTrade class again. And then we can say if trade, position modify, position ticket, new stop loss, old take profit. And then you could have some like print statement here, like you can say, for example, position, then you just want to print like the number or the position ticket was modified by TSL, for example, and that's basically it. And then you can copy this block or write the block again. Like usually if you are not really so good with, or if you don't have so much experience, I do not recommend to just copy blocks. Instead, you should write it again, because this will help you prevent a lot of errors. So if you just want to write it again, here of course we now check if the ask price is below the open price minus TSL trigger points for sell positions. But if this is the case, then we want to calculate the trading stop. We also want to round this. And then here is one important thing that you should not forget. If your position does not have a stop loss, the stop loss is 0. So for sell positions, you should always also check if the stop loss is maybe 0, because if there is no stop loss, this can never really be true, because SL cannot really be smaller than 0. So this is what you need to check also for sell positions. And then, once you did all of this, you use your trade object to modify the position. But this is pretty much just like we also did before here, and now this is what I will copy. Okay, so once you did this, or you added this block here, the for loop to process the trading stop, now we can run the program once again. So here, if we click on start, and let's see, this is a little bit hard to track here. So let's say we want to increase like the distance for everything here. Maybe like this. Oh wait, what am I doing here? SL points 2000, risk 500, TSL trigger points, let's say 200, and TSL points 100. So we have an actual chance to see it here in the tester. So once there's a position, you can see now the distance here is a lot bigger. So we can see, oh, and there's a sell position, and this sell position now has the trading stop loss already working. And yeah, it's still not super hard to, not super easy to track here, but you can of course track it on your own system also. And then you will see that it is in fact working just fine. Should be working just fine. And yeah, now the distance is so huge for TP and SL, so we see many positions. But yeah, overall, we should have a very high hit rate with this, because we have this like kind of aggressive trading stop. But make sure to understand that the trading stop loss is usually executed way better in the strategy tester than it would be in a live account. So here you have to be careful that you do not think like that your testing results actually have to be the same in the live account. But that's how you can build a very simple previous candle breakout program. So with a bunch of inputs here, and I will explain the program one last time here. Make sure to include the trade.mqh file for position opening and modifying. Then we have a bunch of inputs here, so the user has some flexibility. And in the onTick function, we first of all get the bid and ask price. Then we have this loop here, which just goes through all of the positions. And also here it's important, like this will really go through all of the positions in your account. It will not only manage the positions of this expert advisor, but instead all of the positions. If you want to learn how to make this like more specific and more secure to only manage the positions of your expert advisor, you will have plenty of tutorials on my channel already. Or if you are looking for one complete MQL5 programming course, you will find it linked in the description of this video. So this is the loop to process the trading stop loss. And this is how we can get the actual signal. Like we get the rates for the last two candles here using copy rates. And then we check if there's a new bar. And then we just check if the close price of the last bar was above the previous bar high or the previous bar low. And if we find one of the signals, we calculate entry SL and TP, just like basic mathematical operations. Then we calculate the lot size and we open the position using the ctrade class. The calculate lots function is very cool and useful. You can use this in many of your programs. It has one parameter, which is the distance from the entry to the SL in points. And then we just get the tick value, tick size, and lot step for our current symbol. Then we get the ticks that we plan to risk here by dividing the SL points by the tick size. Then we calculate the actual risk for one lot. And then we calculate how many lots we can actually trade if we want to risk a set amount of money. Then to make sure that there are no rounding issues, we also round the lots to the so it matches the lot step that we can trade for a symbol, and then we just return the lot size. And yeah, so you can see very simple program, way below 100 lines of code. We could actually make it even shorter because we don't need these functions, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. So you can see it's very easy and convenient with MetaTrader 5 coding to test strategies like this. And yeah, I hope you liked this little tutorial. Leave a like and let me know what you think in the comments. That's it. I'm out. Have a great time. Good trades. Bye-bye.